Ethical veganism, ethical. It's time to eat me more and me puppy and grandpuppy and the puppy too. It's ethical vegan to be cannibal because they consented to it in a voluntariest way. Calves are mean too. Cows are mean, kids are mean, men are mean, and all can be eaten because it's vegan. Men are mean. Women are mean too. Everything is mean, but there's no men. Because there's no gender.
Replacement ethics. Isn't it interesting that humans require some kind of ethics system? Some kind of norm? And they just replace it when they have jettisoned the notion of a deity, of God, of theism. Human pride. This actually itself, I think, speaks to the reality of the fall of man. The fact that we feel the need to come up with ethical norms, to create them, even when we've dispensed with the only logical, epistemic, metaphysical justification for those, which is the existence of the personal God of the Scriptures. This is what gives rise to subjectivism, relativism, to the notion that there is no metaphysic, there is no certain epistemology, there is no absolutist ethic in any sense whatsoever. Everything is nothing. Everything is in flux. Everything is chaos. And it's also a philosophy that's amenable to certain elites. Did you ever notice that? Did you ever think about the fact that certain elites might have a use for certain toxic ethical systems, for inversion, for the principle of inversion? Animal rights, for example. If we're all products of random chaos and meaningless flux and goo, primordial goo, then there are no rights. Rights are complete fiction. They're social constructs, as are everything else that we speak about. It's all fake. Why are there rights? What is a right if everything is flux and chaos? If everything is flux and chaos, there's no abiding principle by which social constructs should be adhered to. And in fact, everything is a social construct. But is it a social construct that everything is a social construct? At that point, it's completely self-refuting. And so we see that all of these systems are relativistic. They're subjectivist. They can't do anything. They can't do any philosophy. They can't get off the ground. They're completely self-destructive and crazy madness. And that's their purpose. They're supposed to be madness. They're supposed to be insane. They are exemplifications of the fall. All of the subjectivism, the relativism, the madness proves the fall. Why else would everybody believe something so stupid and self-contradictory if there wasn't a fall? Relativism and subjectivism, as mass 98% delusion philosophies that everybody holds to, is itself a proof of the fall. Why should we be ethical about food? We're told that we're supposed to eat only ethical. Corporations, slave slop. But there's no ethics. It's all subjective. It's all consequentialist. It's all utilitarian. It's all social construct. It doesn't exist. It's not real. And since that's the case, why are we supposed to abide by some stupid principle of eating
ethical food? You gotta eat ethical food. Don't eat Bambi.
Why can't I eat Bambi? Why can't I eat my boomer dad? Why can't I eat my pets? Why can't I put them all in a blender and eat them all? And then marry them, right? Because it's all a social construct. It's all madness. It's all chaos. But guess what? Reality is not madness and chaos. And everybody in their heart of hearts actually knows this. But we see at the outset, just on this question of the rise of veganism, the rise of promoting cannibalism, the rise of this nonsense, that we're being told from this virtue signaling moral high ground that doesn't actually exist, that you need to be ethical when you eat. No, I don't. Because there's no ethics according to you. Everything is subjective. Everything is relative. And so there's no reason to be ethical in my food choices. There are no ethics, dummy. And when we point this out, we immediately see this is a double bind. This is a diabolical double mind, double think, double standard contradiction. Double plus good. It's an inversion. And it's an inversion because who is preaching everybody this nonsense? The youngest of the young, who are dumb. How dare you with your fantasies, with your unlimited growth. We should be eating grandpappy. Grandpappy and grandpuppy should be being eaten. Oh wait, no, we're not supposed to eat puppies, I forgot. Eat grandpappy, but don't eat puppies. What? This is because in the process of inversion, everything has to be turned upside down. And that includes having little goblin kids preach at you and tell you what's moral and what's not. But remember, everything's relative, but suddenly it's not when some scam child, Nobel Prize baloney, is telling you what's right and wrong. This is inversion. This is the aeon of the crown and conquering child, the externalization of the hierarchy, in which everything hidden will be revealed, will be brought forward, and you will be placed under the AI gods who will determine all these things for you, you see. But now we were told, as you remember, oh, the Old Testament God is so mean. Oh, but wait a minute, now you're going to get all of the principles for which the God of the Old Testament stood against, namely human sacrifice, cannibalism, all these things that the law says are abominations. Oh, now the system that was so hippie good, supposedly ethical, is going to promote all those things that Exodus and Leviticus and the Ten Commandments and the law tell you not to do. Right? Don't eat people, bro. Don't eat your bro. Don't eat grandpappy, and don't eat grandpuppy. And when we think about this accusation of the mean Old Testament God, what we have to understand is that it's actually not mean. God instituted the eating of meat for a reason. It begins not after the fall, by the way. This is something that a lot of people misunderstand and get wrong. There's no death before the fall. Duh. Romans 8 is very clear about that. Death in the whole sphere of the cosmos enters after man's fall, which proves, by the way, that you have to believe in a historic fall. Otherwise, all the theology gets screwed up, and Christ can't be the second Adam if Adam's not an actual historical person, but he was. So was Eden. And that's why in Genesis 9 is when God allows men to eat meat for the first time. And it's also there that the death penalty is given, because man is made in the image of God, and to destroy man is to attack the image of God in man. So that is our basis for ethics, and that's why ultimately you can't even do ethics right if you don't believe in the Genesis narrative. Genesis is so crucial to theology and to one's worldview. And if you screw up Genesis, if you screw that up with theistic evolution or with materialism or any sort of nonsense Gnosticism, the whole worldview, the whole system collapses, and we end up in these stupid ideas of veganism and ethical vegan food, which is not ethical because there's no ethics, according to all of these idiots. If ethics is determined by consensus, it's completely relative still. On what basis am I supposed to accept the proposition that ethics is determined by consensus? That's just as arbitrary as the consensus that it comes to. It's all arbitrary. It's all ad hoc. It's fallacy. So not only is the Old Testament God not mean, he actually gives us coherent, sensible standards. Can you not see that a society that has the Ten Commandments can actually function in a moral way? That's the ground by which the whole society coheres, the Ten Commandments. Jesus didn't do away with that. He established it. He reestablished it. And so understand that all of this is inversion. Even in the Old Testament, the eating of animals is a gift. It's a gift from God. It's a gift from nature that God created. And even when it gets into the Mosaic period, the eating of animals is typological. It's symbolic of the coming death of Christ, which puts to death the symbolic aspects of the eating of meat. And that doesn't mean that we suddenly don't eat meat anymore. Paul is very clear in the New Testament, let no man judge you in food or drink in the eating of meats. Anyone who forbids meats is teaching the doctrines of demons, just like forbidding of marriage is the doctrine of demons, according to Paul. Later on, the church fathers are very clear. The Council of Gangra, St. Hippolytus, the works of John of Damascus in his heresiology. He lists veganism as one of the great heresies. The Brahmins, according to St. Hippolytus, the teaching of Brahmanism and not eating meat for religious reasons is considered heresy. From the first century of Paul all the way up through St. Hippolytus, all the way up into the heresiology of St. John of Damascus. So we can't fall into these stupid heresies and errors. And the irony here is that we will fall into these when we screw up our view of the Genesis account, the Genesis narrative. That's why it's so important to read Genesis, Creation, Early Man by Father Seraphim Rose. All of our theology, all of our worldview gets screwed up when we mess up on Genesis. And we can't even figure out proper ethics when it comes to, should we eat animals or not? Is that okay? It is okay. This is Jay Dyer from Jay's Analysis. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to click like and share. Subscribe to Jay's Analysis below at the join link or at jaysanalysis.com. You can subscribe and get access to the archives of the website there. And thank you. If you like this analysis, be sure to click subscribe and give me a thumbs up down below. Also, be sure to check out Jay's Analysis and definitely click the bell down below to be sure you get the updates.